Good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to Movie Watch Live. This weekend, we're celebrating VE Day 75, the 75th anniversary of victory in Europe, and the end of World War II in Europe. And we're not only watching one movie, but two over this weekend. We're having a double header. Last night, we watched Where Eagles Dare, and tonight, we're watching an even more popular, classic, fun adventure World War II movie, loved by many, Kelly's Heroes, which, like Where Eagles Dare, also stars Clint Eastwood and was filmed just 1 year later than that movie in 1969. Released in 1970, it also stars other well-known actors such as Telly Savalas, who starred in another well-known World War II movie from the same era, The Dirty Dozen, as well as famous actors such as Donald Sutherland, comedian Don Rickles, and several other well-known actors besides. Now, also, and as well as the double-header movie, we have a double-header for the first time in this show of two, not one, but two published comic book artists as guests on our quartet tonight. So on our quartet panel, I'm delighted to welcome Karl Hungus, an expert in military history, an avid movie fan, Elrodimus Flash, an incredibly talented comic artist whose ideas are both surreal, invented, and very witty, and Matt Crotts, not only a successful comic artist, currently published with Theory, which is available on Indiegogo now, but also an expert, a student of antiquity and the culture and art of the classical civilizations. So first of all, I'd like to welcome back Karl, who joins us in the form of Telly Savalas, a.k.a. Big Joe. Welcome, Karl.
Hey, Pete. It's great to be back. It's actually an honor to be here for your second part of the VE Day 75th Anniversary Extravaganza. And this represents kind of a little bit of a departure for us from our usual, kind of more somber, more heavy World War II movies that we've been watching lately, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think with everything that's going on right now currently and the fact that this is something to celebrate, I think it was important to look at, what kind of movies would people really enjoy. And we did the poll, and this movie came out as favorite.
I gotta tell you, it's one of my favorite World War II movies just because of that fact, that it is a little bit of a departure. And it kind of all right. So it has some anachronisms of the late 60s, early 70s that would not have happened in 1944 Europe. But it's one of those movies that you kind of feel good when you watch it. And, I think we all need that right about now.
It is. It's sort of, it really rings true with that feeling of go get it, and especially if it's millions of dollars of gold. So
yeah, at its essence, it's not even really a war movie. It's a caper movie. It's a heist movie.
It is. It's a heist movie, isn't it?
Just like World War II.
Yeah, there's nothing about this which is really unique to World War II other than the fact that it's set in World War II.
Think of it as Ocean's 11s with Sherman tanks.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. And you know what? We can talk more about that later in the movie. There's some good points there. Now, we also have Elrod, also known as Flash, Elrodimus Flash, who joins us in the form of Donald Sutherland, a.k.a. Oddball or Oddbod. Good evening, Elrod.
Good evening.
How are you, and what do you think of this movie?
I think nothing of it. Mainly because I've never seen it. I've only seen like 3 seconds of this movie in my life in passing when it was on repeat. But I do own the poster and the soundtrack on vinyl.
Well, I'll be honest. This is one of those movies where I've seen it so many times, but I always miss the first 5 minutes. I've actually, and tonight when I sort of previewed the movie before the show, this was the first time I'd actually saw the first five minutes of it, because whenever it was on TV, I'd always miss the first 5 minutes, and I'd come into the movie just at the point about 5-10 minutes in. So I'm looking forward to tonight.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
It's not that I haven't seen the first half of Willy Wonka. I think I actually wiped it out of my memory because it's so sad and depressing.
Yes, it is. It is.
In my mind, that movie starts when they show up at the chocolate factory, and that's it.
Yeah, And
None
why
of that
not?
stuff with the Grandpa Joe in the bed. None of the cheer up Charlie. None of his mom working as a slave. None of that.
None of that poverty and
Yeah,
yes,
that's too close to home.
yeah. So let's skip over that. So and finally, we have and welcome back, Matt Crotts in the form of Don Rickles, aka Cracking. Hello.
Hey, I was gonna try a Rickles impersonation for this.
Coming
in honor of what transpired last night, but I have no idea how to do it. Like I just have to roast you guys for 5 minutes.
By all means, that's your job.
coming.
This is one of these movies that it was on in the background growing up a lot. My dad would watch it, but
TBS.
Yeah, and I think I've probably caught bits and pieces. I don't know, maybe I've seen a third of it, but I just have a vague impression, so this will be really exciting.
When Pete was saying about having never seen the first 5 minutes of the movie, that's so true because it's always, like you said, like Elrod says, it's always on TNT or whatever, and you always come in the first third when he's just, I'm not going to say anything because he hasn't seen anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to say any spoilers, but you know.
Yeah, it is. It's always a bit, Yeah, you always, whenever it's on TV, you always seem to come in at the bit where Don Rickles is on.
Yeah. Just go on the road and watch the first 5 minutes, Pete.
Maybe it's a conspiracy. I don't know. But joining us in the chat, we've already got our audience here, which is Sadie Bella. Good evening, Sadie. Cosmetti. Good evening, Cosmetti. And I'm sure other people will join us through the night. And so, as usual, this is a commentary show. We'll be watching the movie. You can join us along watching the movie, or if you want, you just listen to the commentary. But I'm watching the movie on Amazon, and I believe Matt or Karl are watching it that way as well. I think we're all doing it that way, streaming a copy, and or you might have it on DVD, whichever. What we'll do is we'll give a countdown, say 3, 2, 1, then go. When I say go, you press the play button on your copy, and that's where we traditionally get that wrong. So hopefully
start at the Lion. Just start at the MGM Lion. That's the best thing to do.
Now that's interesting because there is no MGM Lion on this one.
What?
There's no. Well, on my copy at least, there's no MGM Lion.
Wow.
So strange. I don't know why.
I just scrolled it all the way back to 00.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll be given timestamps throughout, and we'll explain periodically where we are in the movie. So, without further ado, if everyone's ready, we'll get started. So be ready with your copies, gentlemen and ladies in the audience, and we'll get it rolling. So, ready with the countdown? 3, 2, 1, go. So there we go. Actually, do you know what? There was a boomerism by me because there is an MGM line.
Okay, good.
I lied.
I was worried because you're watching it on the same platform as me.
I was.
Don't touch it, Pete.
So the opening scene, thunder and fires in this town, where you see a German armed column, traffic jam, and the camera pans across past some Panzer tanks.
Yeah, so that's the town of Nancy that they're going towards. If you look at the signs right there, so that would be probably late summer of 1944.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's sort of never tells you exactly what the time is, but it sort of hints to it with. So
we're talking early September, August.
They're in retreat or something at this point.
Yeah, they're in retreat. This is post D-Day, and we're pushing through towards the breakthrough.
Yeah, and this is before Battle of the Bulge, isn't it?
Yes, because this is about 4 or 5 months before the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah,
Battle of the Bulge was in December, so this would have been September, late August.
Like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Oh wow, look at this.
So here's the opening sort of scene for Clint, where he's in an American Jeep, in the middle of a German column. Nobody knows he's there.
Yeah, in American garbs.
Yeah.
Just stand still. No one will notice.
He's a ninja. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, Cosmetti points out another similarity between this and Where Eagles Dare. The same weird red lettering on the credits.
Yeah.
There you go. Eye for detail.
That sort of German sort of looking font. So that guy right there with the little thing on his collar, that was a German field police.
And he's noticed them. And now the music starts. Now, I never seen the beginning of the movie. I didn't realize how good the start of the movie was. And it's got that total synchronism with the end, you know. This music will start on the end.
Opening, man. It's like the opening Goldfinger.
It's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, so 1970, right? So this is like, it's straddling. We've already had maybe over 10 years of very heroic, like earnest World War II films.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get a little, I don't know, like maybe there's some boomers are getting into the film industry or something.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like, hey, do we have to be earnest all the time, or can we just kind of joke around with this as a genre? And I'm wondering if that's the impression I get. Not knowing much about this is like, we were just going to have fun for once, you know?
We sort of touched on this last night, that in the very short space of time between Where Eagles Dare and this movie, this changes. That was like, Where Eagles Dare was the last sort of swan song of, you know, glorifying Second World War, all that. This is more cynical, and it's just like a bit of a satire, like Mad Magazine. It's in the same vein of MASH. Don't forget, MASH came out in 1970, also starred Donald Sutherland, and Catch-22 came out in 1970 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So really, you know, the cast are a bunch of hippies.
Yeah,
who time traveled to 1944.
The theme song alone clues you in that when this was made. It's like, oh yeah, this is like post Beatles.
Yeah,
like
exactly
the height of Vietnam protest.
This is it. It's a commentary on the Vietnam War. It's nothing to do with the Second World War, really.
Yeah,
you know,
like World War II
even the characters, like,
in terms of
all the characters are like time traveled back to World War II, really.
And they're like Oddball's the best example of
that. He's a hippie just transplanted to the 40s.
Yeah, especially Donald Sutherland. I mean, he's the quintessential, like, I've been conscripted, like, I'm just hanging out, man. Like,
negative waves.
Yeah, exactly.
Carl, what were you going to say? Sorry, Carl?
You can find different elements of different people and different characters. If you look at Big Joe, for instance, all the guys look up to him like a dad. He's like the squad father. They don't do anything about what he says. So you can see there's the subversive, and don't get me wrong, this film, there are subversive elements to this film.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, this is 1970, the height of the Vietnam War. So, but you can find different elements, like you were saying about Oddball. He's like the transport hippie character. But other characters you'll find represent older generations and older ways of thinking, and like the general, for instance, an example. But I mean, look at the interaction here. This is where we first see Big Joe and the other guys all together, the squad.
Yeah. So. Anybody notices the blue crosshair patch? That's the 35th Infantry Division, National Guard from Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. Do you know there's a lot of, I mean, I don't know what you think of this, Carl, but I mean, according to what I've read, there's a lot of accurate things in this movie as far as the costumes and the like the tanks they used were.
Well, I think a lot of the tanks you're going to find are like mishmashes of what they had parts available.
That's right, at the time. But they're made to look. They do try to make them look like the real thing more than they normally did.
You'll find a part from a Sherman on what something's supposed to be a Tiger, or I mean, there's not a lot of Tiger tanks left, and there weren't a lot. Tiger 2s in, because the last scene of the Tiger 2 were supposed to be. There weren't a lot of those left in 1969 when they filmed this.
There's an in-joke there about Mulligan, who is in the movie, and he's actually, I think he's Telly Savalas' cousin or brother, and he keeps missing. He's in the artillery, he keeps missing, and a mulligan is a golfing term for, when you miss your shot, you can retake it. So. lots of these little things in there.
Yeah, this the Sarge is father of the unit. Like it makes me think of like White Christmas, or I guess that was like a common theme, which I'm sure was kind of rooted in some degree of reality for a lot of these guys.
I like the way that the only thing he's interested in is finding the local hotel and the local whorehouse. That's all he's interested in. And this is another accurate thing. The Michelin guide, the troops were handed Michelin guides, weren't they, to find their way around when they arrived on D-Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when they were after D-Day, you would have had to find your way across the French countryside. So, I mean, yeah, they had all that sort of stuff.
So if the hotel was still standing, you could get a croissant and a cup of coffee. Of course, Nancy, being a French town in Britain, has a different connotation. It means someone who is effeminate and,
Yeah.
It used to mean that here, like in old speak.
Yes, in old speech.
If you read any old Jack Kirby comics, they're always like, "Yeah, Nancy boy."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so the actors we've got here, of course, you've got Telly Savalas and David Hurst is playing Colonel Dankhopf. David Hurst was a bit part actor. He was appeared in all sorts of things like Star Trek and lots of different things at the time. So all they're interested in at this point is they just want to get out the fighting and have a rest. But obviously everything changes completely when Clint discovers something in a minute.
My name's Barbara.
Life-changing.
And this is when he has a chat with, when Clint has a chat with Colonel Dankhopf. And he finds out what's going on. Of course, a lot of this was going on at the time with the Germans when they were retreating. And has anybody seen Monument Men?
Oh, yeah.
About the guys who found all of the hidden treasures that the Germans had basically, stolen from everywhere in Europe. And they were able to recover all these works of art that would have otherwise possibly been destroyed. And, really famous French paintings, French and Dutch paintings.
A lot is still missing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's in private collections.
They found a ton of them in Saddam's palace.
What?
Yeah.
It amazes.
When you've got that much money, you can find things. And when they, raided his palace when it fell, it was filled with art that had been lost for 100 years.
Now, Clint's just seen that they are actually gold bars, and the look on the general's face is like, Colonel's face is like, oh shit.
Yep.
And he's immediately trying to cover up the situation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so he grills him about everything here, and this is, I mean, there's a lot of little similarities, and this could be like we're talking about it being like a Vietnam War movie or a hippie war movie based in 44, but it could also be very well a spaghetti western. This is, Clint sitting someone down and saying, "Where's the gold? Tell me where the gold is." Expect like Eli Wallach to come around the corner any moment.
Yeah, no, like we were saying before, the fact that there's a war going on is kind of incidental to the overall what's going on in the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's escapist fun, because instead of it being about necessarily the horrors of war, it's more really just an adventure.
Well, I mean, they do inject that part of it in there too.
Yeah.
It's funny. Someone on Twitter pointed out this is what the movie Three Kings should have been.
Oh yeah.
I realize it's kind of the same thing. It's funny to see Saddam too, because
Absolutely.
There is a similarity. Sorry, there is a similarity with Catch-22 as well, isn't there? With this, I mean, there's the cynicism and like people are going mental, so they're saying stupid things. Like this guy just wants to go and take the boat out. Well, it's in a shed. Where are you going to take it?
That's very Catch-22.
Yeah.
I still spoilers, huge spoilers, but I still want to know how they cut that man's body in half in Catch-22.
Yeah.
Because they're real. I'm like, I don't know how that was done. It's just, oh my lord.
I love the bit right at the end of Catch-22 where he's eating the chocolate and he pulls it out of his mouth and it's cloth. He says, what the hell? Oh yeah, we couldn't get rid of the cloth any other way, so we're going to resell it as chocolate. So chocolate, because they're trying to sell the parachutes, weren't they, or something?
Oh yeah,
that is one hell of a movie though, Catch-22.
What you're seeing now is Big Joe, career NCO, reading the Stupid Incompetent Officer, the riot act for being stupid and incompetent.
Telly Savalas was an interesting character, wasn't he? He was as an actor. He was this. I mean, this is 1970, this movie, and then for the rest of the 70s, he was a household name.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
he was on everything.
Yeah, Kojak was big in the 70s, man.
Well, Kojak was even big in Britain. I mean, when I was a kid, Kojak was one of my favorite shows. It was on rerun for so long. It just,
Yeah, he does Grace Dirty Dozen, I guess.
Anybody notice Harry Dean Stanton in the background there?
Yeah,
it's Private Willard.
Right away.
Tell you, Harry Dean Stanton.
Showing off his talents. Much like Telly Savalas, he was a musician.
Yeah. But I mean, he appears in so many films as a bit part actor.
Oh yeah. Right up to the end.
Come on, Mulligan, get it together.
Yeah, come on, Mulligan, get it right.
From Rockford Files.
Yeah, this is Stuart Margolin, who was in Rockford Files, wasn't he?
Yeah, Angel.
Yeah.
His informant friend.
Rockford Files.
He's an expert at Weasley characters.
What was the car that Rockford drove? Not drove.
Trans Am or something.
Trans Am, like the generation right before the Bandit one.
Yeah.
Pontiac Trans
Am. Nice car.
Mm-hmm.
And he just does the Weasley character so well.
Yeah.
So we're about 15 minutes in. We've had the preamble. There's movies where things start faster, but it's sort of progressing along steadily. The one thing about this movie was there was actually 20 minutes cut from it,
Oh wow!
In the edits, and Clint was actually quite angry about that because there was a lot of stuff missed that actually explains a lot of the characters, gives them more depth. So he wasn't happy with it. It was originally called The Warriors. It was changed to Kelly's Warriors, and at the last minute they changed it to Kelly's Heroes. But Clint was actually disappointed with the final movie, but nevertheless, it was a really successful and still is a really good movie despite that,
So now we have the Colonel completely drunk.
Yeah, he's completely burdened.
He's just polishing that quote-unquote lead bar.
And again, this could just be, Once Upon a Time in the West or Good, the Bad, the Ugly or whatever.
They're in a I mean, those are horse saddles, aren't they, in the back?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
That's
true.
funny. The stable.
So I don't know if I think we mentioned it before the show, that this was written by the same guy who wrote Italian Job, Troy Kennedy Martin. The Italian Job came out in 1969, just a year before this. So this is the same kind of movie, a gold heist movie, and written by the same guy. So that's why some people refer to this as like the American Italian Job.
Yeah. I said, just blow the doors off.
Yeah, I only wanted you to blow the bloody doors off. My name is Clint. Not a lot of people know that. So he's finding out the gold's in Claremont, and he's trying to find out how many tanks are guarding it. 3 Tiger tanks. Now, Tiger tank was like the bigger version of the Panzer, wasn't it?
It was it was the. I mean, there are bigger variations of the Tiger, or up armored variations of the Tiger, the King Tiger, Panzer Tiger II, that kind of thing. But the Tiger was the big daddy in the German arsenal.
And they were the biggest tank the Germans had. But by this time of the war, though, the Soviets had some pretty badass
Yeah, the
tanks
German,
as well.
the Soviet T-34 was a match for the Tiger, and it had better range and stuff like that. But on the Western Front, we had Shermans, and those were not.
What the hell happened there? Because what happened with the tank engineers in America? I mean, we had nothing in Britain. We just used your Shermans. But which is ironic because we invented the tank to begin with, which is what the British do. We invent things and then we become incredibly crap at it afterwards, like football.
We take other people's things and
we invent things and then everybody else gets better at it than we are.
What happened with the tank design, Pete? It was speed and maneuverability was deemed more important than big heavy guns and armor, and that kind of proved out, because the problem with the Tigers is you could barely keep those things fueled. They were just gas guzzlers, and they had a very short range, and once they were immobile, they were easy sitting ducks for like P-51s, and that's it, man.
Well, wasn't that their big downfall in Russia? Was they sank in the mud because they were so heavy?
They were like 50 tons or something like that.
Yeah, once they sank, the treads would never move again.
Right.
And the Russians came out on horseback and wiped them out.
Just throw a grenade or a Molotov cocktail down, and that's it, man.
Yeah.
I think
so. Yeah, so I mean,
their transmissions, they would take like 2 days to repair because they were so finely tuned. That was like the German style, I guess. Was all these? It'd take like a dozen craftsmen to take it apart. Whereas the Shermans, you could just a bunch of 18-year-old boys from the Midwest could just.
That's the thing. They built everything
fix
like
it on the road.
Kid, you're hired.
They built everything like a watch, so everything was finely tuned with very little tolerance, and under perfect conditions, things would work fantastic.
Yeah.
But I mean, what if you have a muddy field and rain and fire and explosions? Those are far from ideal conditions. But in a one-on-one straight-up fight, a Tiger is going to beat just about anything out there.
Yeah. Oh, and the Colonel just did a Tiananmen Square there. Not a good move. Never go full Tiananmen Square. Never works out. But that point you made, so the Colonel's dead, and they're now escaping because they're getting attacked by, it was a Tiger tank, that wasn't it? Or it was supposed to look like a Tiger tank. That point you made about the tanks getting bogged down, that's something they feature in Battle of the Bulge, isn't it? Right at the end of Battle of the Bulge, the movie, they're just running out of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And they just literally run out of fuel and they can't do anything, and they just abandon all the tanks. Spoiler there for Battle of the Bulge. So this is the bit where most of us remember the film starts from. And the alternative, what's that expression, like for alternative realities? The Mandela effect.
Yeah.
So this is where the movie actually starts. 21 minutes in. This is George Savalas. This is Mulligan, right?
Yeah.
George Savalas, who is Telly's brother, I think, or cousin.
Really?
Yeah, he is actually George Savalas.
Huh.
Well, this makes me wonder, did this movie popularize, did this begin the mulligan as a phrase in vernacular where we talk about hidden duds? The way they're using it, it makes me think that.
Well, I think it was a golfing term. Yeah, he's the younger brother of Telly's younger brother. So he's actually got, this is what Telly would look like if Telly had hair.
Oh, in real life. Oh, wow.
Completely different.
20 pounds and a different nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which one do you think the mom called the pretty one?
Now that's a good question. That's a riddle to ponder.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been polishing it. Oh,
Yes.
get it nice and shiny.
That's great.
At this point, I just want him to say, "My precious." So, just to go back to the chat there, Sadie Bella said, "You guys keep interrupting yourselves." Sorry about that, Sadie. Avatars interrupting your characters is what I mean. I'm kidding, of course. Okay. And that certainly shut him up there. So here's so in the push before the Battle of the Bulge, the south part of the Western Front, is that the Fifth Army, the American Fifth, or what? Karl, do you remember which?
Way to put me on the spot, Pete.
Yeah,
yeah, I have no idea. I could check.
Because the British were north of the Ardennes and the Americans were south, which is why the Germans attacked and tried to separate and surround the American army in the middle. Let me
look it up, Pete. I'll get you your answer in a moment.
There's Telly in full vest mode. Getting plenty of vitamin D. Vitamin D is good for you.
Mind if I wear my sport vest, lady?
It's great. Oh, that guy.
Oh, there's Harry again.
Harry Dean.
Yeah, Harry Dean.
This was all filmed. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just one of the great things about these films. I guess it's just the spirit of the period where it's like, oh, okay, let's bring in how many, like 10 million Americans or something, and they're coming from all walks of life, all regions with all these different accents and backgrounds, and let's throw them all in these units together. And it's not something you see. I feel like British. You just don't see it in other.
Well, you get. I mean, in British films, you get a Cockney, a Scotsman, an Irishman.
Yeah,
and that's about it. In American films, you'll always have somebody called Kowalski.
Yeah. Like a New Yorker.
You'll have somebody called Kelly or Murphy, like for instance, Clint's character is Kelly. You'll have somebody who's from Brooklyn or the Bronx or whatever.
Yeah, every platoon has their like native New Yorker that's a full-blooded Italian.
Yeah,
and you'll have a slack-jawed yokel.
Yep.
Oh, I can't wait to get back home and have mama's spaghetti. Oi!
Hey, this Joyman sausage is nothing like I get at home. God's sakes, that's more like Jewish.
So you think this is good food? Oh man, you never had real food.
And of course, you have Bronson, don't you?
New York deli.
Yep.
And but this is
at least
like,
he got the boat out of there.
How did he do that? I don't know.
At least he did. He got the boat out of there. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Look at that. They got what is that? On the half track back there.
That looks like a German vehicle, doesn't it?
It's a half track.
This was filmed in I think Yugoslavia.
Oh. It's beautiful.
And the former Yugoslavia. It was what's now Croatia. The final scene was shot in the village of Vlzinada. I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly. And one of the reasons I went to Yugoslavia was that the Yugoslavs still had loads of captured World War II equipment, German and American. Because when the Americans left, they just left all their shit behind, like they did in Vietnam. Just like, screw it. Well, we don't need these tanks. Here, have some tanks.
Take for the memories.
Loads of equipment left there. There's a familiar theme. Now, this scene where the boat's getting towed across,
amazing.
Across that in itself is just like really surreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Croatia's a beautiful country. Me and Mrs. Mack were just talking about that today because Mrs. Mack went over just after the war, actually.
So, Pete, the vehicle you said looked like it was German is actually supposed to be a T-19 howitzer motor carriage half track, and it mounts a 4.1-inch howitzer cannon on top of it. And
right,
they're produced between January and April 1942.
So that was real American armored.
Yeah, they were used in the invasion of southern France in 1944 in the Italian campaign, et cetera, et cetera.
And it'd be the same one you've seen in MASH and every other World War II or war movie. Because
what it actually is probably like
Hollywood has one of them.
Yeah, it's a mock-up from like the Yugoslavian army, whatever it is. They made it to look like that, but that's what that is supposed to be.
Right. I mean, it is also. I'd like to say there's a lot of they do try their best to get the actual equipment, and if they haven't got it, they do try to make it look authentic at least. But I mean, that's probably a vehicle that was, well, it will have been, wouldn't it, used in D-Day and everything. So here we have Crap Game, aka Matt Crotts.
I'm loving this already.
And,
his face is so still. Like, this is the most serious role he's ever played.
What's in it for me? And he's got bottles and bottles of whiskey. I'm trying to see. Every time I watch this movie, I try to make out what whiskey
label?
that is. Is that white label whiskey?
Never heard of that.
It says white label.
Yeah.
I don't know what the black letters are, but the red is white label.
This is a bit where he tries to work out how much the gold would be worth at the time and how much it would be worth for each of them, based on how much there is there. And the 14,000 bars of gold. Now, at the time in 1944, that would have been $16 million. Have a guess how much that is now in today's money?
Yeah, like 200 million?
Yeah, it's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
$230 million. So it's roughly, how many people? It's like $10 million each. The amount of men who nicked the gold. So it's like 10 million each.
Here's the inherent problem with the plan. The more people you bring, the more you have to split it up.
Yeah, that's right.
The more people that die, the more you get. But the more you have to carry. And it's gold, and it's heavy.
It damn well is. It's
that's a hell of a conundrum right there.
Yeah. Well, when you think that even just one bar of gold is probably enough to buy a house. And here's Oddball. Welcome to Flash, who's been listening up there. and he's basically a hippie. He's practically a conscientious objector.
He practically is.
How do you get away with that haircut and that beard?
Yeah, he just showed up on set, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't cut your hair." He's like, "What?"
You know, my
What
dad
movie
was
is
my dad was in the RAF, and he was a sergeant in the RAF, right?
Wow. I'm
probably doxing myself here. You know, the old jokes in the British military is like, on parade, you would go up to some young lad and you say, "Am I hurting you, son?" "No, sir." "Well, I should be. I'm standing on your hair." As in long hair, you know.
Yeah.
And do you play the violin? "No, sir." Well, you should with hair like that. So just
that was what I was talking about, anachronisms from the late 60s and stuff
great.
you never would have seen in on the Western Front ever. But you just kind of disbelieve it and suspend disbelief and just go with it.
You do, don't you? And I mean,
he's wearing an Iron Cross, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
And now we're entering the Twilight Zone. They've got Turkish music. Oh well, Arabic music playing.
Yeah, this
you have the other characters point out that he's ludicrous too, so it works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey man, I've got a live goat there because I have to have goat's milk every morning. There's a horn gramophone there. In fact, I think we've just this is Cosmetti's farm. We've just turned up.
Amazing.
This is actually we're at Cosmetti's place here.
My favorite to do with isn't it to do with the Fez at some point?
Yeah,
I'm really liking this.
To be honest, I would not mind hanging out with these guys. To be honest,
those chickens and the wine pitcher.
He's got a pig there. So, nice to be able to see what's going on, says Cosmetti. Then she says, "How many ounces is one of those bars?" I don't know, actually. You'll have to check that out. Does Eastwood just hold his brow knitted like that all of his waking time? That seems like an effort. He was born with a knitted brow, I think.
Got the sun in his eyes. Got the sun in his eyes.
And she says, "Hey now."
Yeah, he needs sunglasses. That's all.
It's true.
But I'm not saying you've got Sherman tanks on your property, Cosmetti. But hey, if you can get hold of one, can you legally buy tanks in the US?
Yes.
Yeah, we've had some notable moments in American history where people had private tanks and blew up the tax house or something.
There's regulations that you can. He's got a straight little commune going on here.
Yeah.
So he's talking about putting pipes on there, customizing them to fool the Germans. But I think at this time of the war, I think some of the Shermans were modified anyway with longer barrels, weren't they? But he's got those speakers on the side of the tank. When was Apocalypse Now released?
1979.
79, right? So this sort of the idea of playing music in a movie, they're playing music as they go into war. Maybe this predates the way they do that in Apocalypse Now, isn't it? Because I'm sure they play Ride of the Valkyries, don't they, from the helicopters in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, and they've been playing music before they go to battle for thousands of years, though, Pete.
Yeah,
with horns and drums and trumpets and stuff.
So you bet your boots on there, partner. So you got the cowboy there, Jeff Morris. He's actually called Private Cowboy. Did you know that?
No.
He's Bob from if you ever saw the Blues Brothers, he's Bob from Bob's Country Bunker.
He is, isn't he? God. Hey, knowledge, Carl.
They got both kinds of music there, country and western.
Yeah. And the way they just play and there's a connection there as well because they play the theme from Rawhide, don't they? Yeah. And of course Clint Eastwood was in Rawhide.
There you go.
So Pete. The circle is complete.
The circle of life.
Yeah.
Good job, Simba.
There you go. Rawhide. So time index wise, we're at 36 minutes.
Yeah,
Coming up on 37 minutes.
It's not the most fast-paced film ever.
Yeah. So I don't
Pick it
know.
up here.
I don't know. There isn't a like a non-cut version that you can get. So there's no way we can compare this to what it would have been with the other stuff that was cut out.
Oh, gosh.
Rickles, are you nuts?
I have to really I do enjoy the anachronisms because it just lets you know how people, because it's really giving us an insight into what people in 1970 were thinking about their own history.
Yeah.
So kind of what interesting way to look at it is look at Oddball as like a person from the 1970s if they were put in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like instead of Jurassic Park, it's World War II Park. Come to or Westworld, World War II world.
Right. And everyone else is
Well, Clint Eastwood is just like he's essentially the man with no name in this, isn't he? I mean, he's actually. I was
thinking that earlier when we were thinking about doing this. I was thinking he kind of is the man with no name in this film.
Yeah, because there's, without spoiling it too much, there's something later in the movie which sort of calls back to that. But he certainly has some dialogue in this movie, whereas in Where Eagles Day, he just kills everybody without saying anything.
Well, that's kind of man with no name too, just walking into town, putting a few holes in fools.
Get me Hogan in intelligence. There you go. That's that inside joke.
That's great.
Hogan's Heroes. And what is Oddball's line is, there you go again with the negative waves.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Because I can't say vibes because that would be too obvious.
Yeah.
So
he's working his magic.
Yeah.
He's working his magic because he needs to bring in. They're going to get the army to support them in their private heist.
It's just like sweet acapella. Okay with it. Amazing.
He's got a load of movie reels there. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I mean the sort of main thrust of the movie is that as they head towards the gold, the army sort of thinks that they're heroes because they're pushing through. They don't realize they're sort of going for the gold, and they think they're just really brave men.
Hey, that's the best way to be, right? You get the gold and then you get the credit.
Yeah. He is actually quite a good actor, isn't he, Don Rickles?
Yeah.
Hey, 16 million just waiting to be picked up. You get that, copper? Telly Savalas' acting style is just to shout at everybody all the time, isn't it? Really?
Hey, when this guy's going to get you all killed, somebody's got to speak up loudly.
Do you know Perry Lopez, who just spoke before that? Hey, I'm Italian gangster. Flash, you're going to love this. Do you know who else he played?
Which one?
Idea.
Solo in Goldfinger.
Oh.
Hey, I'm Italian gangster. You want to go crush me?
I'm a gangster.
It's a perfectly good Lincoln.
It's impossible to crush a full-size Lincoln in one of these little box. Oh, no, it's not.
Because I mean, these are all filmed at the same time, weren't they? So that's Perry Lopez, played Private Petuco.
You know what's great about Telly Savalas is he looks like every World War II cartoon.
Yeah.
Good point.
Like every cartoonist depiction of World War II soldier is like Telly Savalas' face.
Yeah. But the character is like as sleazy as the rest of them. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's already an inversion of the archetype, I guess.
Oh, that was the proper smoking look there from Clint, wasn't it?
Yeah.
These men are all going.
This is what I call blue steel.
That's what I call the blue spaghetti. I mean, all the actors are playing to their strengths, aren't they? You know, you've got all them playing to the strengths of the characters that they're good at.
That's the beauty of like war movies is you can totally typecast them because everybody plays a type. Like you always have a group of misfit soldiers, and they all have their, you know, whether it's a guy from Brooklyn, the guy from the Midwest.
I once heard somebody, because there was a program a comedy on British TV called Dad's Army. And it's like somebody's theory was all war movies of the platoon of men are usually around 12 to 15 men, and the theory was that they're all modeled on the apostles. Like they all have different talents and different flaws, you know. Like
this is actually kind of a pivotal moment in the film right here, because Joe realizes that if he doesn't go along with these guys, they're going to go by themselves with just Kelly. And
exactly,
he's been with these guys since the beginning, and if he lets them go, he's not going to see them again. So this is kind of the pivotal moment where they get Joe on board, and from here on out, we're balls to the wall.
Yeah. Because like Clint's character was demoted, wasn't he? He was like a more senior soldier. Yeah. So like he was just about to take all of Joe's men away.
Well, they were about to go voluntarily, but you know these are the guys they've been with, and you know you can't let them. He's their dad. It's like
that's it, and they're so pleased he's on board now.
Yeah, Dad's coming!
Yay! Come on, pops!
Right?
That's great. He gets to make fun of his brother in character.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you're a successful actor and you can't get a job for your brother, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, Clint Eastwood is a one-man employment agency. Anybody in his life has been in one of his movies, whether his kids, his wives.
Yeah.
That's right, actually. Yeah.
His son too in something. Wasn't he?
Well, there's that son now that's in a lot of stuff that's like his clone.
Yeah.
But he had another son that did a lot of child acting with him. That was in a Honky Tonk Man where he played basically like a Hank Williams.
Yeah. That was his son in that film?
Yeah, that was his real son. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was a sad one.
Yeah. And that kid didn't go on to do stuff, and he was really good in that.
Yeah, it was a really good movie.
Yeah. It's
all good music there.
It is hard to watch.
Sorry, go ahead, Carl.
I was just going to say, it is, as agreeing, it is hard to watch.
Tell you, some of those Jeeps, I don't know that much about gear, but they did look a little more advanced than I would expect for 1944.
Yeah, there's some goofs. Lalo Schifrin did the music. I think I can't remember what else he did, but it's definitely one of the best soundtracks, war movie soundtracks, because it's really, as Carl was talking about the movie earlier, it's a really upbeat movie.
It is, but it's also has that, like I said, subversive element to it too.
Yeah. But Flash, you were saying the other night how this is like changed things in the genre, didn't it? It's a lot more cynical than Where Eagles Dare.
Yeah, it's kind of where that sets in. It's like it's really, you see two movies where it's like one era goes out and another comes in.
Yeah, so this is like a transitional phase, isn't it?
It's kind of bittersweet that Hollywood gets to live out its anxieties and neuroses for like on the world stage. Everyone else has to endure it.
Yeah.
When America goes through something, we're all going through it.
Yeah, if this was like America doxing its psyche to the world.
Yeah, because Vietnam
nowadays,
probably you probably don't think of that as being a watershed moment. I mean, it wouldn't be in British history, but you probably don't think of it in the world stage maybe as much as we do. We think of it, it's like America pre and post Vietnam. It's like black and white.
Yeah, I mean, I think all empires though reach that moment, and the Vietnam was that moment, and it took a long time to recover from it, but all empires will eventually face that. But America became powerful very quickly. I mean, in the space of literally 40 or 50 years, they went from not being involved on the world stage to the Second World War, where they came out as the one of the two superpowers in the space of 40, 50 years, which is a very short space of time. Compared to the British Empire, it took about more like 150, even 200 years.
Well, I guess we inherited. It was like a peaceful handoff, I guess, of what you guys had.
Well, I think certainly after the First World War, America came out of it better than Britain. Was completely ruined by the First World War. But so here we are at we're coming up on 50 minutes, 50 at the movie, and they're pushing through a town here. I didn't catch the sign. To get to where they need to go at Claremont.
There goes the sign.
Well, there goes the sign. So I've definitely done where they are now. We'll have to consult the mission guide, circa 1944.
Yeah, so we're breaking through the front lines right here. This is it. Frontline action.
Frontline action. These guys have got some cojones. Yes, Carol O'Connor. This is a complete stereotype. This is supposed to be Patton, isn't it? Really, for one of a this is like a Patton character.
Got the cigar.
Push on through.
Carol O'Connor, a man who had the talent of never being young.
No kidding. He looks the same in bit roles in 1950s as he does as Archie Bunker.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh. Robert McNamara plays Roach. Without gas. He sounds like Alex Jones, actually.
It's very Jones-esque.
We're going to fight the frogs. Anyway, they're talking about the fact that this is the inspirational thing they need to really mobilize the men and follow through and break through the line. And this is what sort of like now the race has begun, because if the main armored column gets to this town before they do, then they won't be able to get the gold.
I think he's channeling George C. Scott from Doctor Strangelove a little bit here.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to say goodbye to Sadie. Thank you for coming along, Sadie.
Yeah, thanks.
Says past her bedtime and she's exhausted. No worries, Sadie. Thanks for jumping in.
Like the Turkish guy.
Yeah, wearing the fez. Yeah. It was Fez
I
is
just
unique.
can't believe no one chose. There he is, the man himself, Gavin Loveboat McLeod.
Yep, that's it. Who plays Moriarty? Loveboat.
Oh my God! I did not recognize him with the beard.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Imagine him wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a navy hat.
He also has the thing on his head, so I can't see his bald spot.
That was the negative waves.
There you go. Positive thinking. Okay.
It's funny how often, like, a bridge is it's a critical component to a plot. It's, it's a very important plot device in like half of these movies. The bridge, it's got to be there, or we got to blow up the bridge.
Almost every World War II movie involves a bridge.
Yeah.
Of some sort or other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to consider crossing the Rhine without a bridge.
Who was it said the other night? Was it Flash? He said that when Patton got to the Rhine, he pissed in it.
Oh. What a cowboy.
What a cowboy. Talking about cowboy. There's Jeff Moore. Go there. I'm going back to my brewery. It's goodness me. I think can Harry Dean Stanton actually play the harmonica? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, you know who that is, right? The quiet guy against the tree.
Yep.
The actor from East of Eden.
Yep.
Oh.
The one that Morrissey had the crush on and put on all of his album covers.
D. Pollock.
Yeah.
Private Jonesy.
So I found a YouTube channel that will review. They'll buy up K rations and then eat them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's surprisingly, I mean, they had really nice, like chocolate covered peanuts and stuff. And, I mean, stuff from all over America was just thrown together to make like pretty decent rations.
Yeah, there was a guy I used to watch on YouTube who did like military rations reviews. I don't know why I started watching them. I just thought,
it's probably the same guy. It's pretty interesting. Yeah,
because like this stuff is still edible, like 75 years later.
Yeah, like little crackers and jams, and
yeah,
I just thought they were just eating like tinned meat. And
well, it shows the ingenuity of the Americans at that point because they'd never done this kind of stuff before, and they came up with this stuff for the soldiers in the field. It just shows American ingenuity, and it's all coming home. All of this industry is coming back to the States. Jobs for everybody. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Stuff like that should never have left.
And I heard rumors of a certain governor in a certain southwestern state who's in a whole lot of trouble. But let's not talk too much about that at this point.
Yeah, the fallout's going to be interesting in the next few months.
It's going to be huge. This is a bit where you can hear in the background an airplane. We say aeroplane, So for my
Yeah.
American guests, I'm going to say airplane. Because being British, we just like to be contrarian.
Act like you made up the language or something.
Yeah, goodness me. Me and English and stuff. So, you bet your sweet ass.
Funny farm.
You bet your sweet ass. Oh,
I love how much the shamans and the tigers, like it's just so they're characters in themselves, which I love. It's just a big hunk of metal, but they really loom large. Which is cool.
Do you know the film originally included a female role? Ingrid Pitt, who was also in Where Eagles Dare that we did last night, was going to be cast in the role. She was actually getting on the plane bound for Yugoslavia when she was told, "Nah, sorry, your part's been cut." So,
you've been replaced by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
What did she
He
play?
has nice little legs.
And here they're going to get attacked. Now, this plane attacking them is supposed to... I mean, there's no German aircraft that look like anything like that.
Yeah, what is that?
This is totally anachronistic. This is actually...
Over. A big engine.
Contemporary plane. Yeah, it was a Yugoslavian plane. So... It's...
That's funny.
That's the moment of complete unauthenticity in the movie.
Well, what you gonna do, Pete?
Let's just stop watching it. I'm disgusted now.
Cold War.
It's over for me now. That's it. Sorry, I'm a purist. I can't take this.
Oh man,
it's got rockets and everything. It's
what was the Christian Bale movie where he's like 12 and he was a prisoner of war in China?
Oh yeah,
Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun. Yeah.
All of the planes in that were fake. Like when the P-51s fly over, those are all remote control planes.
No
wow,
kidding.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they just put in, the sound effect, and it's like, yep, that's a plane.
I really enjoyed that movie when I saw it, and I thought Christian Bale acted really well. I didn't realize he'd grow up to be a complete jerk.
Yeah.
In life.
He's yours. He's Welsh, right? It's your fault.
Yeah.
That's how you talk to people who mess up the lighting.
Do you think Clint had his own personal hair? Well, he would have, wouldn't he? But there'll be somebody in the credits, Clint's hair.
Yeah, I think that's
somebody had to wrangle it
as well.
This guy. You always need one guy who's perpetually nervous.
Who's the guy on the left?
I don't know.
It's like the high-pitched voice. Gene
Yeah.
Collins. He looks like a lizard man, doesn't he? He's
Yes,
like
he
got a
does.
weird pointy jaw. Do you think he's like a lizard in disguise?
They found him in a cave somewhere, it looks like.
Yeah.
This is before he played the Golem.
Yeah, I think he could dislocate his jaw and eat hamsters.
Extended jaw.
Now, where the hell have you been? Now, if he'd been Scottish, his reply would have been, "I've been taking a push in the bushes." But Sean Connery's not in this movie, so how thin?
Yeah.
How thin is Harry Dean Stanton? He's like a stick man.
Yeah.
It's just like no meatloaf at all. Oh, this is it. This is a bit.
Though, 'cause, those guys were very thin, like the actual soldiers, because you didn't eat much. The Depression just ended.
That's true, isn't it? You were saying, and I can't
You're
remember.
not sleeping, you're moving all the time, burning thousands of calories every day. Yeah. They look at the pictures, those guys are skinny.
Yeah.
And you got to figure the average age was like 18, if not younger.
So all of these extras here, this is all Croatia. You can see how beautiful the landscape is in Croatia. It's a beautiful country, absolutely beautiful. An interesting point: the Croatians fought with the Nazis during the Second World War, which was nice of them.
Yeah. A safe bet.
So here's Oddball with his tanks. That's similar to he's coming through like a tunnel there. That just reminded me of Italian Job. I mean, I know they go through the sewer tunnels.
Yeah.
Does he do the loopy-loop?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do Italian Job one of these days. You know, that is such a good movie. Such a good movie. I love the way that these guys are all individuals as well. You know, the guy with the fez and Oddball and everything. It's brilliant.
Oh my gosh!
I know they're playing, and this is pure surrealism, isn't it? It's like Monty Python. It's like, you know, Oh What a Wonderful War, and you know, playing the Hawaiian music as they kill everybody. It's sad. There's a girl in heart as big as the sky, and she's sunshine. And I'm on fire. Oh, for the love of the sunshine. It's like you've gone to church. Come on, everybody.
It's like how they blew up that house at point blank range completely for no reason whatsoever.
Why are they
And you would never have two tanks right up against each other like that, ever.
Sitting ducks.
And that's actually, at this time of the war, though, one thing that isn't authentic, they had, by this time of the war, the Germans had developed their own version of the bazooka, hadn't they?
I mean, they're supposedly behind enemy lines. They wouldn't necessarily just have it laying around. Who would expect a tank to come 30 miles behind lines?
It is fun. Sullivan's actually
some
pretty.
Of the guys might have some, but the guys that were down there guarding the rail yard probably didn't just have them laying around.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's that, Matt?
I think it's funny that as silly as Oddball is, it's nice to see they're actually competent with their Shermans. You know.
Yeah.
Well, this scene in itself is still far more entertaining than the entire movie Fury, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't. I couldn't finish it.
Painful. I'm sorry. Like, I did not like that movie.
No.
There you go. That's the big ticket item right there. Locomotive.
Yeah. But he just does because he also did Independence. Donald Sutherland played an English captain in the movie Independence, which is based on the American War of Independence, and he just does that efficient, in the zone military man really well. He's just in the tank. He's left hippie behind, and he's just going fire. Ready, fire, fire, know, and he just does it so well. Well, that's another good movie, by the way, with him in it, and also Al Pacino, Independence. It flopped in America because it shows a more realistic version of the War for Independence.
Fire. Let's blow it up again. That's great.
Well, that could all go around. Oh
my gosh, I love it. It's like so ham-fisted with the Americanism. It's
Blue. Flash, I want you to do a draw at the end of the stream. If you have the time, can you do a drawing of a dog with a GI's helmet on called Blue, playing a harmonica?
I mean, you have like this, and Dirty Dozen really set up like the action movie for like the next 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Do you think these movies paved the way for movies like Rambo?
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
well, not really Rambo, but like the sad to say things like Fast and
Platoon?
Furious, where you have
right,
a
yeah,
group
yeah.
of people doing a thing, and they each have their own little quirks. You always have it's always a crazy guy, it's always a smart guy, it's always like the gruff guy.
Yeah. So here they are, ready to celebrate the fact there's a bridge there, only to see that a USAF is just blowing the shit out of it just as they got there. Nope. Negative waves.
That's great.
Moriarty.
Moriarty. Not a good
All your
name.
fault. Negative waves.
Yep.
These guys look like the dwarves from Time Space.
I was going to say they're all like they're all unique characters, aren't they? But also I think that these guys were ripped for the crew that Captain America, the first Avenger movie.
Oh yeah,
You know,
like
the crew that he
Rambo.
had. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, here's the Golden Boys. Raw recruits, Greenhorns.
Well, the Howling Commandos actually predates a lot of these movies, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was a big influence on them.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay, so.
Oh God! Seinfeld didn't play.
What do you want?
Do you know, nobody else could do this role. Nobody else could have done this. Donald Sutherland's perfect at it.
And he's talking to Uncle Leo from Seinfeld.
Oh, that's right. I was like,
That's
why
who it
the-
was.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
The nose. Oh gosh.
Dear me.
Jerry.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Len Lesser.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. So I did the Jewish accent earlier. So we now have the New York Jew.
Yeah.
So we've got the full set now
Yeah.
of American stereotypes.
Yeah, you got the
Hey.
hillbilly playing his country music.
Yeah.
You got the New Yorker.
You got the Californian hippie.
Yeah.
You got the New Yorker.
You just need the corn-fed Iowa
the-
kid who's like
yeah,
really
Yeah, you need the fly up
Farm
upstate.
boy.
Yeah.
Farm boy.
And then you need the really boring one from Washington State.
Are you guys going to recycle that?
Hey, I've got no recognizable accent, except I say beg instead of bag.
Yeah.
Big.
Beg.
Oh, I hate that. Like
Yeah.
every YouTuber is from the Midwest, and they all say bag.
Beg.
Let me get my shopping bag. Oh, stop
What the
it.
hell did you say?
It's like that Wisconsin, Indiana, Midwest accent's terrible.
Cosmetti, she did say, yeah, it's Steve, MRI Steve, with the rations. That's it. It is, isn't it? When those guys got shot, they threw themselves forward like the two earlier were through. Yeah. And that's Murray Slaughter from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Murray Slaughter? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gavin
And-
McLeod, Murray.
Hmm.
Mary. Oh.
So this is the first death in the platoon that we see in the movie. We're halfway through the film, and it's interesting because significantly they're sort of bogged down in a minefield. They've just completely walked into a minefield without realizing it. There you go. Charlie's just said that. We've walked in a minefield. And I like the fact that this is the moment right in the middle of the movie where they have to stop.
Yeah.
Of course, if this was the Soviet army, you would have the penal army clear the minefield by virtue of sending men through there
Yeah.
to clear the minefield.
So I remember
This minefield is going to kill 100 people. I know how
remember-
to solve that problem. Let's send 100 men through there to clear the minefield. Sorry, Carl, go ahead.
So I'm saying I watched this film for the first time with my dad back when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and he was in the Army in 1970. And this was how, if you walked into a minefield, this is how you clear it. You pull out your bayonet and you fucking tap around for it.
Yep.
Find your way out.
No kidding.
And you hope
This is how you actually do it, yeah. And when you feel it hit metal, that's when you know.
I mean, they did have devices like they had a rollout thing with charges on it, didn't they? And it would blow up in a line, and that would
That
hit.
were like metal detectors. They look like metal detectors that they would use too. But I mean, you had special guys that did that. It just wasn't everyone that had that.
I think that lad who's just handing the phone there must be about 12.
It looks like it must be hot in that little building. Though. He's sweating.
It's just a kid that turned up in the morning to hand out coffee. Say, do you want to be in the movie? Yeah, go on then.
Hey, Germany's not very big. It was only a matter of time. I mean, that's later in the war. It was like 12-year-olds and senior citizens. That's what when my uncle fought in Italy, that was kind of the thing that really shook him up. Like as far as PTSD type thing.
Yeah.
Was that, the majority of people he killed weren't soldiers. They were like 70, 60 years old or 14 years old, because at that point Germany was getting what they could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the home guard and the Hitler Youth. Market. And I mean, this is every soldier's nightmare, a minefield. And it's not like the mines suddenly go away after the war's over, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, common theme.
So, but so here's the standard practice: take the dog tags, take the ID papers, and any letters that we have for home, and move on, because you can't stop to bury the body or anything like that.
Well, Gem 1 dog tag in the tooth.
Yep.
I guess everyone puts their letters in the same spot.
Top pocket, yeah.
So you know where to find them. Wow.
Yeah. Unless you're Rambo's friend and there's bits of them all over me.
Yeah.
He just wanted to go home and drive his Chevy. So this gun, this is that's the main fully automatic machine gun of the
That's
American
a Browning.
Army.
It's a Browning. Yeah. It's supposed to be a 50, Browning 50. Is what he said.
He's a 30, I think.
Is it a 30 caliber?
It is 30 caliber.
Yeah.
I hear what he said.
Not that I would know, because I've never fired a gun in my life.
Because
I live in basically I live in a country where you can be arrested if you're carrying a potato peeler around.
That makes sense. I mean, 50 caliber would be mounted on a vehicle kind of thing. You wouldn't be able to really carry it around too easily.
Pete, we got to get you out to Yankee Land. Oh, put a gun in your hand and
you're damn straight.
A Bowie knife in your teeth and a gun in your hand.
I tell you what, I'd love to do. I'd love to go wild boar hunting in Texas.
Oh yeah.
I keep telling him if he ever comes out, we'll go to Las Vegas and go to the places out there where you can rent a whatever the hell you want and shoot it.
Yeah.
There's special ranges out there where you can get things like this.
Oh my gosh.
I saw a video. I don't know where it is. I think it's Nevada somewhere. Or it could be somewhere like that. But I saw a video of some guy who has the gun turret from a B-52. And people, you were the underside where you get in from the top down into it, the globe, and it's got like twin 70 caliber guns or something. And
a B-17 Bolter, twin 50 calibers, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you can hit a hill from 5 miles away.
Turn it to dust.
Yeah. So we're just past the halfway point. We're at 1 hour 16 minutes, and they're just at this point pulling out of that field with the minefield was just as a German. Oh, it looks like a armored vehicle convoy.
Well, that was the scene before with the guy. The guy looked like he was 12 years old. So what happened was a mine went off in a field that was close by. They got the call, and the officer sent out a patrol.
The cats and nasty Yankees. So stupid Yankees.
Nasty Yankees.
With the music which makes my toe go tapping. It's a baseball. Is this around the time when like G.I. Joe toys were coming out and everything? Oh, well, G.I. Joe toys were in the 60s, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were
all the way through the 70s, and they quit, and then they came back as the 3-inch figures.
Yeah, they were still pretty big at this point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ken doll sized.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe's stuck in the field.
Wow. Get your ammo out.
Yeah. Looks like a... I'm not sure which gun this is that the Germans have, but I'm sure it's authentic. I mean, this is far too Mediterranean for France.
MG42.
Mm.
And that's that'll be an authentic machine gun than German.
That was the standard. They called it Hitler's buzzsaw because the sound it made when you fire the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, they all had nicknames, didn't they, for all the different different weapons.
Yeah, it's not something you can get in sci-fi or just kind of invented war movies where like everyone recognizes what's going.
Kind of the thing they leave out because they don't cover that base when they write it. Except for like Starship Troopers, because that was a veteran, so he was familiar with that kind of thing.
Play dead.
Yeah, they would still shoot them anyway. The Germans wouldn't take any chances.
Yeah.
They would still shoot them.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
Take them to the chalice.
I like the swivel thing they got going on.
Shoots them anyway. The Schweinhund Yankees. I mean, the Germans generally just didn't take prisoners, basically. I mean,
that's actually not fair or true, Pete. I mean,
well,
I had a great uncle who was a POW in World War II. He's in a bomber, shot down.
Yeah,
it really depended on who you were caught by. They were initially caught by Wehrmacht, but there was SS individuals there that wanted to shoot the prisoners, but they didn't let them do that, obviously, because he got back to tell the story.
Oh,
that's fair enough. I mean, that's fair enough. So there were instances where it depended on who you were caught by.
It really depended on who you were caught by.
Where?
Yeah.
And where.
Yeah.
Like on the Eastern Front,
how late in the game
was shown. Not yet. That too.
Like where Eagles Dare, those 2 prisoners wouldn't have lasted because Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood would have offed them quick because they were dead weight.
And the one thing my uncle did say is that he was just glad he was shot down in Europe and not the Pacific.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because the Japanese prisoners of war camps, you don't want to end up there, do you, really?
Well, depending on the situation, you could end up as food.
Eesh.
Because cannibalism was not a rare thing.
Or beheaded on the side of the road as you're walking to camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Pacific War was a completely different ball game, wasn't it? Well, at this point, during the heavy fighting, I just want to mention that the beer I'm just about to open up here is called Much Ado About Muffin. It's a blueberry muffin pale ale.
Nice.
Much Ado About Muffin. There you go.
Sounds delicious.
As Karl says, I'm drinking beer, so I'm bringing a knife to a gunfight. But there we go. So I mean, that was a pretty hefty fight, and that sort of a little bit like Dirty Dozen with the action there.
So much bloodier.
Yeah.
Well,
and of course,
it does kind of make the violence over the top, but they're not really glorifying it. That's the key difference.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big difference from Where Eagles Dare, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the transition in just like a year and a half.
Well, here, like when they threw the grenades into the trucks, you see body parts flying out in clouds of blood, which you don't see in movies before that, because it's like, people just fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, the standard like boys' own adventure, or daka, and 20 Germans fall down dead, blah blah. And this stage of the game, you're starting to see the reality of war. I mean, this is it. I mean, it's a heist adventure, but it's now the genre's changing. It's starting to say, well, war's absolutely terrible. It's not somewhere you want to be, really.
Lucky strikes. Go happy, go lucky, the lucky strike.
I was gonna say, Pete, I think it's more like it starts out as a war film, and it always remains. The heist is the main thing, but the war thing is always there. It starts out as a war film, takes your attention away from that, and now you're thinking, okay, we're in pure heist mode, and brings you right back, it grounds you back into the reality.
Do you think it's like, because the movie MASH came out in 1970 as well? It's very much like that, isn't it? It's like MASH was like, hey, jokes, levity, trying to make the best of things. Then flick over to, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, early MASH was not what late MASH was. Late MASH became very, very preachy. And
the TV show did it a lot better, like the balance. The movie.
I'm saluting the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Marching on.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Did Elvis do a version of that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. American Trilogy.
Yeah. Those nuts have brought half the army with them. And this is like an engineering corps that brought along so they can build the bridge. And is Donald Sutherland actually Canadian?
He is, yes.
What's with this whole thing of like
weird?
There's so many people who turn out to be Canadian.
Shatner, Sutherland,
William Shatner. Now, there's a man.
Yeah.
Famous for Kirk and Kirk.
Yeah.
The All-American Captain Kirk from Iowa.
T.J. Hooker.
I work in space.
I wear these uniforms to bed. They're my pajamas.
They're form-fitting, but comfortable. Velour.
Velour.
Made by slaves in Los Angeles. After hours. They actually were made in sweatshops. To cut costs. Yeah. They would go to like little tailor shops in LA and pay these women to sew all their uniforms and then sneak them into the studio.
Dear me. There's Uncle
Leo. I'm going to Florida.
Jerry!
Come on. Don't double cross me.
Another thing in this movie that you see a lot of is the Tommy gun, which pretty much everybody has. But in the war they mainly had like the M1 rifles.
That's right. Yeah, there is a disproportionate number of Thompsons to these guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more glamorous in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that
look cool.
had like one
Didn't
dude
it,
squad.
wasn't it just like one Thompson per unit? Oh,
I'm not sure exactly how. I know special units like Rangers had them in higher proportions.
As I say, the higher ranks carried them, right?
Officers sometimes carried them. It really kind of depended. I'm not really sure of the exact distribution, but it would have been like it would have been maybe a couple guys in a platoon would have had them maybe.
because he says, "Lol, Oddball's dialogue is amazing. It is pretty good. I mean, do you know what it is? This is probably one of the best movies that Donald Sutherland was in. It really is one of his best performances.
He was in that as well. So I mean,
well, did you know when he was filming this, he got word via Clint Eastwood, who was married to Shirley Douglas, that his wife Shirley had been arrested to trying to buy grenades for the Black Panthers using a check.
The Black Panther?
She tried to use a checkbook, a personal check.
Wakanda forever.
Exactly, and apparently he laughed so hard when he found out that he fell down. Clint Eastwood laughed so hard when he found out about it that Sutherland had to help him up. Basically, they reassured him he's going to be all right. But I mean, this is the woman that Donald Sutherland was married to during the movie. She was trying to buy hand grenades for the Black Panthers with a check while they were filming this movie. So
Yeah, something I just remembered. Sutherland was in the remake of The Italian Job. It took me an hour to remember that. But
yeah, don't talk about the first rule of Italian Job is you don't talk about the remake of Italian Job.
true. That's true.
Is everybody liking the general's red?
The epaulets on his
epaulette coat,
He's still got
pajama
the
coat.
stars.
it's his night coat. It's his robe.
Yeah,
pretty happy. I'm not gonna lie. I want one. I'm having one made.
it's gorgeous,
awesome.
isn't it? It's gorgeous.
Preferably at a sweatshop in LA.
Yeah, get on it.
Just go to Vietnam. You can get one for like $2.
That's true.
Well, no,
Did you
now
ever
it's
see? I don't know whether you like Top Gear, but there was an episode of Top Gear when they went to Vietnam and they all got suits made for themselves.
The $10 suit, which is now $20. I dated a girl from Vietnam, and she would go back every year, and I got a $20 suit from there. I got a $15 silk suit from there. It's pretty awesome.
Amazing.
It is awesome.
There you go.
Like she came back, she's like, "I got you something." It was basically like the kung fu outfit.
We got the game
on the back. So everywhere I go, I look like Doctor Strange, basically. But it's so comfortable. It's good in winter and in summer. It's amazing.
So just hit 1 hour 30 minutes, and they're stalled at this bridge they're trying to build, and they're under fire from German artillery.
It's funny how that happens when you're trying to build a bridge.
You try to build bridges.
Just trying to get over it.
I totally sympathize with the whole wearing of whatever the hell robe you're wearing, though, man. Because when I turned 40, I decided I'm never going to buy another pair of shoes that have laces on them.
Yeah.
On whatever.
I couldn't do that. I gotta have my laces.
I can't.
I can't.
They always
let the
come
shoes
undone.
down.
And I hate the whole knot.
So is Len Lester's character, Platoon Sergeant Bellamy, is he in on it now? Does he know about the gold?
Yeah, he was saying, if you double cross me, I'm gonna come after you.
Jerry.
Yeah.
No pastrami for you. You schmuck.
At this point, they're only gonna get like 10 bars a piece. There's so many people. They got the whole Army Corps of Engineers involved.
I mean, I'm sure the tanks would be the first target for any artillery.
Oh yeah,
Tanks would be
easiest
gone
to hit,
already.
it's the biggest thing
Yeah.
there.
There's an airborne soldier behind the colonel.
Is that the captain? Their captain from before?
Hmm.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know why that guy's wearing carrying a load of presents in his arms.
Yeah.
I missed that. Yeah, I think we should give ourselves a challenge to find a World War II movie that isn't about a bridge.
Yeah. It wouldn't
It'd probably be one set. Are there any set in the African desert?
Yes,
That would be it.
there is
Like
a
the
really
last
good
of those
movie
movies, so.
called Ice Cold in Alex.
Mm.
I can highly recommend. One of the best war movies ever made, and that has no bridges, just a lot of endless sand set in North Africa.
What's it called again?
Ice Cold in Alex. It has one of the best beer appreciation scenes in any movie, because when they get back, they have a Carlsberg lager, and Carlsberg actually used that as an advert for 40 years after the movie was made.
Wow.
Would play that scene back, brilliant movie. John Mills. Forget the rest of the cast, but it's a fantastic movie. Ice Cold and Alex.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised he doesn't have ivory plated 6-shooters on his side.
Yeah, he needs to have a helmet with 5 stars in gold.
Yeah.
Come on, you bunch of such and suches.
Here you go with the Snoopy and Red Baron music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. Oh my goodness.
Awful.
I'd never thought of it that way, but that's perfect.
It is really of the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't get away with it. It's dyed in it. It's dyed in its wool.
Like I could hear this song in the Billy Jack movie. It's so hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
See there's 3 nuns. I don't know if it's those, but there's 3 nuns in this movie, right? And John Landis, who, as you know, went on to do loads of movies, appeared as one of the 3 nuns later on in the movie.
Oh, that's right. He did stunts on this movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
John the Murderer Landis.
Yeah.
Not even alleged. He was convicted.
Yes.
John Landis
Exactly.
killed people?
He cut off the head of famous actor. What was his name?
Oh my goodness.
From the TV show Combat. Can't think of his name, but yeah, he killed him and 2 children.
Oh wow.
My God.
And a stunt gone
True what
wrong.
they say about Hollywood, isn't
he
it?
covered it up, and the children were well underage. They were like 5 years old, and they weren't legal citizens. So they got them for basically free. They didn't pay the parents a dime, and then they had them perform a very dangerous stunt with water, fire, electricity, a crashing helicopter, and the helicopter blades killed all the people in the stunt.
Oh gosh.
It should have only killed the stuntman or the actor, but the actor was carrying the 2 children, which should have been dummy because, I mean, they're like 5.
Yeah.
So he basically violated like every union law and every existing, just normal law to film a scene and got 3 people killed and got away with it.
Wow.
Shocking,
Eddie Murphy,
isn't it?
to this day, Eddie Murphy hates him because of that. Even though they filmed movies together, Eddie Murphy will still be like
Coming
he's
to
a-
America, right? And
Mhm.
The Blues Brothers, he did.
yeah, but
Beverly Hills Cop 3, he did.
Trading Places.
Yeah, so Eddie Murphy is still, after hearing all the facts of that, he's like, yeah, the man's a monster.
Wow.
Well, good for
Twilight Zone. Yeah. Sure, the Twilight Zone.
And he refused to work with him after learning the facts and meeting the family and stuff like that. Vic Morrow.
It's,
That's who. Vic Morrow is the actor.
yeah. he actually got the idea for American Werewolf in London when he was filming this movie as well. You know,
Oh wow.
while he was because some of the indoor scenes were filmed in London. But yeah, I mean, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, Hollywood is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
When you think about how many movies he did as well. Negative
now he does
waves.
nothing.
Righteous.
And hopeful for a change. Crap.
It's
It's
funny.
about tanks, isn't it? I mean, tanks.
Yeah.
Tanks were like open
Clint
country
never has
weapons.
helmet hair in this entire movie.
No, he didn't. He has a personal assistant throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he's got
I'm
the
absolutely
perfect voice. Like every time he takes off that helmet, it's like perfect hair.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm losing my hair in 5 years. I'm not going to mess it up.
So he's going to make full use of
Yeah, that
what's that
hairline's not
hairspray that
forever.
Ralph talks about all the time?
The toupee.
No, some sort of spray. I can't remember. You know, the tiger tanks in this movie, this is an interesting point. They're actually T-34s.
Okay.
How ironic is that?
Ironic.
Because same size, and obviously the Soviets were copying the Tiger when they made the T-34. But the Yugoslavian army at the time customized them to make them look like Tigers. So I don't know how good a job they did. A better job than normal, apparently. But whereas oddball Shermans are just straight off Shermans that were just left by the US at the end of the war.
Oh wow. So they showed up. Film crew showed up and they were there.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I put them there, because the Yugoslavs in Croatia just had all this shit lying around, basically.
Wow.
It was like, yeah, let's do it. So they've reached the town where the gold is, and they're just planning how to attack. So there's the 3 Tiger tanks / T-34s. This guy is Karl Otto Alberti. What a great name.
Yeah.
And he is actually German. He was a German. This is Proto-Arnie that you're looking at here.
Proto-Arnie.
Okay.
Wow.
Long before Arnie came along. Now, can you see he has a striking resemblance to Marlon Brando?
He does.
Yeah.
He was
Cookies.
he was picked deliberately as a parody of Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando had portrayed German Lieutenant Christian Distel in The Young Lions, 1958. So
right.
it was a deliberate parody. But it's interesting because he's in himself alone. He was somebody who broke out from boxing into acting, and he was an actor for the next 20 years after this. So
What you're
long
saying is
before,
that face was not free.
yeah, well, long before Arnie, this is a Germanic sportsman /
Sportsman.
But yeah, so but he does convey the whole.
So what they're doing right here, Pete, is they're revving up the engines because on these big diesel engines and stuff, you let them sit too long without warming them up and revving them up, cycling them like every 24 hours or so. They'll seize up on stuff with that type of fuel and all that.
And that's what you're talking about, the way that they're fine-tuned, aren't they? They were really high-maintenance machines.
Yeah, they had to run them a certain amount of time every day, like a half an hour, just to keep the engines go.
Wow.
And they're almost as high-maintenance as Liz Taylor.
Almost, not quite.
Cosmetti says, shocked face. Is that shocked face? I think we ought to pull out of here, pal. This is the 1981 Nokia mobile that Clint's got there.
That's the Zach Morris.
Yeah.
I know it sounds sappy, but I'm really enjoying this, lads.
No, it's fun.
Sure, right. Yeah.
Relax, cowboy. Come on.
Oh,
Screw it up.
It's good timing.
Is this the only movie that stars Clint Eastwood and Donald Sutherland?
Huh.
There's a question.
Possibly.
It's the one everyone thinks of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure this is the only movie with Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland, and Telly Savalas. I can't think there's any other one with all three in.
Yeah.
And Gavin MacLeod.
Yeah. There's Perry Lopez behind there. He's thinking, hey, I want to get into a Lincoln.
Yeah.
And there's Gene Collins, Lizard Man, from the cave in Arkansas.
The cave in Arkansas.
It's like those documentaries I had in the 1980s. In a cave in deepest, darkest Arkansas.
I feel like if they did this today, that'd be he's like Willem Dafoe would play him, maybe. Willem Dafoe's dad.
Willem Dafoe or a CGI character.
Yeah.
He's like a human Muppet. Amazing.
Yeah.
He is very strange. Yes. Shh, Mr. Person delivering tomatoes and potatoes and things. And off he goes. So this scene here in the village, they're trying to, get the jump on the Tiger crew or Tiger Cruise. This is really the most tense scene in the whole of the movie, because all of the other sort of conflicts they've had, they've been fairly, they've had a bit of an advantage. Now they're up against Tiger tanks, so they're way outmatched. Now so is that a Tommy that Clint's got there?
Yeah, that's a Thompson.
It is.
Yeah.
I got to fire one of those. Oh my god, it's amazing.
That's a Greek Orthodox cross over there on that shed, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yes.
Which indicates we're not in France, we're in Croatia.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't be any Eastern Orthodox in France. See? Not that I'm aware of, but there would be in Croatia.
What's he got? Oh, he's got a Luger.
Yeah.
So there's the 30 Karl. And again, I mean, all movies are better when they use real scenery, aren't they? I mean, the fact that this is filmed in a real movie, a real village, rather than this horrible studio set.
Because the background's a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know,
like,
one of
this
the
whole movie is set up like a painting. Like the frames look like a painting of the war.
I once saw Terry Gilliam comment on, and we were going to do this movie, but when the lockdown happened, we cancelled it. We are going to still do it, which was Past the Glory. And I heard Terry Gilliam comment on that film, and he said when he saw it when he was a kid, he realized the first time that Kubrick was using the background as another actor. The scenery itself is another actor. And the way you use the scenery, if you do it right, it's like you've got another actor in the movie.
Well, Sergio Leone. I mean,
Absolutely.
all the spaghetti westerns are
Totally.
Once Upon a Time in the West, especially. with the opening scene that introduces Bronson, where he shoots the three guys. Like, it's all worm's eye view, and it's like this broad, giant landscape.
Yeah. Well, I think of David Lean as well. I mean, we're going to be doing Bridge over the River Kwai because everybody's asked for it.
Oh, great. Yes.
We're going to have to do it. And
you got to do that for PJ Day.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that for... well, let's do that for release day, open day.
When is release day?
Whenever that happens.
You guys find out tomorrow, don't you? I think I heard.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to get another 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it'll be open. But
jailbreak.
Yeah, jailbreak day, J Day. Good point, Carl. J Day.
BJ, do that on BJ Day. Do The Great Escape on release day.
There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
Good point. That is a good point. Mind, The Great Escape. Sorry to spoil it for anybody. Everybody gets killed by the Germans.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen lives just in prison.
And ironically, he's put back into self-isolation.
Charles Bronson escapes.
Take him to the cooler.
James Coburn escapes.
He does.
Yep.
James Coburn has the most unconvincing Australian accent ever.
I don't know what you're saying.
James Coburn had arthritis in his hands, didn't he?
Yeah.
At the end of his career, he couldn't move his hands at all. That's another useless fact. So we're at 1 hour 48, and we're sort of approaching the stand-up movement, a moment in the movie. So Clint's just going around the side of the building there to find where the tanks are. And we're gonna get that sort of satirical nod to Clint Eastwood's spaghetti western character in just a moment. Probably about 5 minutes time. There's the SS. I'm watching this with subtitles as well, so I can have the volume low. And the subtitles on Amazon just say "speaking German."
Thanks, Amazon.
That's accurate.
Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff, yeah. Schnitzengruben.
Fahrwerkmogen? Oh, Fahrwerkmogen.
Autobahn. I think that is actually a real sniper rifle he's got there, but I think in the notes I think is it a Russian sniper rifle he's got? I'm not sure.
Who's got that? Let me take a look.
Guy in the tower.
I'll tell you in a second.
Yep.
I think so. Looks like a Springfield 03.
Let's have a look. I was told it was
could be a
Mosin-Nagant.
Mosin-Nagant could be, yeah.
Mosin-Nagant M91 30 caliber, not 30 caliber, M91 30. Again, my subtitles tell me what is lost, denken Sie?
Oh, it's actual German.
Why the Glocken spielen? Die Glocken spielen? Nein, das ist nein, die Glocken spielen. Was? Schnell! Was ist los? That's the German Volkswagen.
Rolls Royce? Volkswagen? Does not take his name.
There's Solo.
Darka, Mohammed Jihad. Das Boot.
Das Boot, yeah.
Another good one.
Here comes the fun.
There's the now that
the
was
finest actor in all of Europe.
So here's. I think Donald really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what a psycho!
Yeah.
I mean, you get to ride on top of a tank for like 3 months. It had to be great.
Yeah, in weather like that, in a beautiful country like Croatia.
Oh yeah.
There's another Orthodox cross scrolled on the wall.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a French cross, isn't it? Of course it is. I'm being stupid.
Oh, Crotts of Lorraine.
That's it. It's a cross of Lorraine.
Oh. Maybe that
Now-
was indicating don't blow this up, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
Just because it's painted on.
Now, did he actually say Wachowski there? Because so I was right. There is a Wachowski.
Wachowski.
Wachowski. I'm gonna have to have your badge and your gun.
Yeah. It's always a Polak.
Okay, so he's just pulled the guy in the tower. He's just pulled the pin on explosives. Oh, is he in the tower? No, he's in the base of the building.
Was that the golem in his natural habitat? He's like,
Yeah.
yes, dark places.
What's nasty chips?
Fishes.
Pretty good impersonation. And
This is the thing he keeps doing. He just kind of gets his grenades ready. He just kind of hangs them out on.
yeah, he just puts them on the wall, ready.
Yeah.
To go. Everything that happens in this movie, Donald Sutherland just likes to repeat it with a like in a shout. Like, hold it,
Yeah.
blow your nose, blow your nose. Now, I don't know whether they were sort of usually when they film these movies, they go to villages that are being systematically demolished by the Soviets, so that they have authentic damage.
Wow.
Because there's a movie called Bridget and Remagen, where they went to a village in Czech Republic, which was being leveled by the communists, so they could build an open mine, and it looked like war damage. That's why they used it. And I don't know whether the same thing happened here, but it's interesting that all of these movies were filmed in Soviet-occupied countries.
Yeah.
Damn commies. I said that ironically and allegedly, if anybody want to know. So what Karl said about them running the engines, absolutely right. They've used the time of them running the engines to cover the noise of them moving the Shermans into position. So now they've moved the Shermans into position without being noticed.
And the bells help.
They do. And there's Private Gutowski sniping people from the tower. And Karl Otto has climbed back into his tank. And these are the standard gunfire ricochet noises that basically come on the same LP
Yeah.
everybody used for 30 years. I think we're at we're just coming up on 1 hour 56. Dean Stanton there, who, although he's as thin as a rake, can feed the ammo into a machine gun.
Guy with the BAR in the hallway.
Yeah.
Fix
In the
your
alleyway.
jam.
You would never do that. The German guy just ran out and he's
What is
lying on
that?
the ground. What a numpty.
Das Matrix.
Das Matrix. I can stop the bullets mit dein Hand. Subtitles on my Amazon version here just said gunfire there in brackets.
Speaking German.
Not
Gunfire.
that that's not obvious from the actual picture.
Well, they're on top of it over there at Amazon, so
Yeah.
Well,
they're
they
doing
can't
it.
say deafening noise because that would be offensive to people using closed captions.
that's ableist.
Oh!
Ableist.
Topical and ironic.
Yeah, it's funny. They're blowing up real buildings, which I guess, now it makes
Yeah.
sense. Since what you
I mean,
said,
there must have been some remodeling going on there.
Yeah.
Because you can't just walk into a village and say, hey, here's $50,000. We're going to blow up your village. Is that okay? Come on.
That's what they did in the Chuck Norris movie Invasion USA when they blow up like the housing development.
What?
It was a housing place that was set to be demolished.
Goodness.
So there was a whole block of abandoned houses, and just let them come in and blow everything up.
Bloody hell. Well, very quickly, Clint Eastwood didn't like this movie because of the cuts that were made. He also signed up to the movie only because his friend and director, his favorite director, Don Siegel, was going to direct it. But Siegel ran into problems and backed out because he was still concentrating on 2 meals for Sister Sarah. Withdrew. Brian Hutton took over, and Eastwood couldn't back out because he'd already signed a contract. So Eastwood was a bit pissed from the go with this movie. But for all that, it's still a fantastic movie,
oh yeah,
proving that Eastwood's a little bit of a diva.
Yep.
yeah. I suppose even by then he was trying to call shots with his career like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Had the clout.
Well, he also released a song. He also released the single 45 version of Burning Bridges, which we'll have to listen to with some
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he released a 45 of
Oh man,
Burning Bridges.
God.
And it's probably as bad as William Shatner's. What was the song that William Shatner did?
He did a lot. He did a whole album.
Oh no!
It's
His
because
version
back then you had to be a triple threat. If you signed a contract, it meant you signed a contract to do everything that studio owned, which was usually a record company.
Terrible.
yeah.
So you signed on to Paramount. You also did like Paramount Records.
Oh no! Please no.
Well, Leonard Nimoy had one
And then
too.
Leonard did it as well. He was even worse.
yeah.
Leonard Nimoy did like country songs. He actually did songs. Like Shatner did spoken word. Nimoy did
Yeah.
song. Like
Shatner
the
was
Hobbit
just
song
trying
that's
to-
all over YouTube.
Shatner was pro to a rap, wasn't he?
yeah.
I'm not going to sing. I'm just going to talk.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Perkins,
Yeah.
well known as Norman Bates, he had a recording career too. Kelly Savalas cut a couple albums of like lounge music, and his is a lot of him like holding the brandy glass and talking through the
Please
songs.
no.
Like, look, be a lady.
There's a whole
Tonight.
YouTube channel. It's Golden Seam to Mine there. There's a whole YouTube channel potential.
Yeah,
You should start a channel of stars that shouldn't have sang.
Oh my God.
I had the Kelly Savalas album. I ended up selling it, but it was pretty good.
Nightmare. Cosmetic disagrees. Everything Shatner does is awesome. Yes, William Shatner is a good guy. Bless him. Now that can be a problem for tanks.
That's a bit of a problem.
Because they were huge, they would get stuck in It would have to be a point-blank shot because the tiger armor was thick.
Yeah, it's thinner on the rear, so yeah, that's how they got him.
So they're at the bank now. And this is...
Don Rickles was a combat veteran, wasn't he?
That's a good question.
I believe he was. He may have been in the Navy. I think he was in Pacific.
I think he was in the Navy.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was something where they said he doesn't fight because he did it for 5 years and that was enough.
Yeah, he was in the Navy in World War II on a torpedo boat tender.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Was that Crap Game?
yeah.
Oh, no.
No, at the bank, sorry. No, Crap Game is at the bank. Crap Game.
Okay.
Crap Game's not dead. Don't worry, Don, you're not dead.
He's got a
None of the avatars I selected, sorry to spoil this, none of the avatars I selected die. So this is a T-34 converted to look like a tiger. The T-34s were MF tanks,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Really
It
were.
was a match for a tiger.
Yeah. Commanded by the infamous General Zhukov. And the Soviets. Interesting little key symbol on the side of the tank there. I don't know what that's there
Yeah.
for.
Sure.
So this is the last of the three tanks, commanded by Karl Otto Alberti's character. I don't even, oh man, I don't ride him. I don't know what makes him work.
That's amazing.
Is that like a bottle of wine or Coca-Cola? He's arf. He likes to do dog imitations, doesn't he? I don't know why. Yeah, so Don's been injured, but he's not dead.
What's on my wounds, you jing bat?
Ain't that enough for you?
You never asked me about my feelings.
Yeah,
Wise
I'm a
guy.
sensitive guy. Hey, Joe. There's always someone called Joe in these movies. Yeah, so it's a bit. This is where the movie reaches a standoff moment. Yeah, so there's a standoff at this point, a stalemate.
This is where they get the idea, right?
Yeah, so it's Don Rickles' character who comes up with the idea. Look, let's just cut a deal. And I think, well, will it work? Well, give it a try. And that's the unique thing about this movie. I don't know how many other movies that do this. Like, let's cut a deal. You know,
I've never seen a movie where they cut a deal. So much of tiger tanks. That's amazing.
it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a bigger deal than any other deal that's ever been made in deal history. So we've got more deals than any other country in the world. Our deals are bigger than other people's deals. It's only a 2-star, General. What's going on?
Yeah, I've been wondering about that.
I'm disappointed.
Real proud of you.
They have no idea that they're actually the heroes in this situation.
Yeah.
They're just
So the character of Gavin MacLeod's character Moriarty, he uses his fortune to buy a passenger liner and becomes captain of that ship later on.
Captain Stubing, huh? That's where it came from?
So Telly Savalas and Donald Sutherland do appear together in another movie, and that was 3 years previous to Dirty Dozen.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if he knows what's in it. This is the big moment where they do the parody of the spaghetti westerns. So this is it now. This is the comedy moment of the movie.
This is bizarre.
Where the three of them, they can't rip off Ennio Morricone, so they've got like an Ennio Morricone type music going on. And if you listen carefully, they even mimic the sound of spurs. Right?
Yeah.
Even though they're not wearing spurs, listen to the spurs.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Which shows you,
The Luger out.
this is a parody movie. It's a parody.
How bizarre.
This is a light-hearted comedy.
Oh, it's coming around.
It's
It's coming around.
It even
Put it
sounds
close
like
to the music as possible without risking copyright.
they,
Ah,
should,
yeah.
Hear the spurs? Hear the spurs?
they should make movie for YouTubers so you can, or make music for YouTubers so you can use music that's almost the exact song.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
It's uncanny. It's
you only
funny.
need to change like 1 or 2 notes, and it can be called a what you call a variation. Listen to it though; it's
Amazing.
totally like. Oh, I love this movie.
He's got chains. It's like he's got loose change in his pocket. It's just jangling like spurs.
Yeah.
Come on. How funny.
I mean, listen to that. That is totally Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That
Mhm,
Yeah.
it is.
we're gonna have to do that movie sometime, gentlemen. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I've only been telling you that for a year, Pete.
Hello. There you go. You know what I'm like. There we go. That's iconic, isn't it? Those three facing down that tank like that. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah? Was you want?
Was ist das?
What is that?
Oh, that's
There's German Brando.
yeah. So yeah, that's Paulie. I mean, at this point, he's got out his tank. They could just shoot him. I mean, I don't understand.
He's
He's out his
curious
tank.
as to what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
I think he just wants to know that answer.
he's got the typical Prussian scar down the right eye.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
always,
the Heidelberg.
it's always on the right eye.
Yeah.
It's a dual
No
scar.
smoke.
Pete.
He speaks really good English, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah,
really
yeah.
German, or is he putting on just the most ridiculous German accent ever?
No, he is really German. I mean,
Because,
he is,
that's how
German.
Peter Sellers would do a German accent.
I'm not saying he's dubbed. He might be, but it doesn't say that in any, call out to Albany. Get the hell out of here. This bag isn't the funds. It answers the American Army. He's definitely German. Private enterprise operation, Carl. Right. That reminds me of the phrase from Italian Job, Self-Preservation Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His eyes finally open up.
Sweetheart, he should be saying Liebchen, meine Liebchen.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to open up a Reese's Nutrageous bar, gentlemen. because we get them in Britain now. We're civilized now. I had a Baby Ruth bar the other day.
Oh,
Baby Ruth?
what'd you think?
Ruth? Rocky Road?
We still don't get Mars bars.
You get Cadbury's chocolate there. There, you see that line there? It was like, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
As soon as you told them how much gold was in there, it was like, okay.
That's hilarious.
And that was it.
I mean, to go with like we don't even know why we're fighting in this war. How about we just get together? That's incredible.
Just crank that turret around and blow a hole in that door.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, they make a deal with an SS tank commander. That's some pretty hardcore stuff, man.
Yeah.
He's not a very tall German, is he? Clint's taller.
Yeah.
How tall is Clint Eastwood?
Good question. I don't think he's tall.
4'5".
Yeah.
Because you know how Germans are bloody huge.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how we beat them, to be frank. Bloody giants. Oh, was that an Illuminati symbol there? The way we pulled the cloth off, there was like a piece of glass. Triangular glass. Can I do a diagram with the angles and everything? Oh, it's supposed to be on. No, it's not. It's just glass. There we go. Oh, gold.
That's great.
Shiny gold.
Clay's was official height is 6'4".
Yeah, he's a tall guy.
That's just what they say it is. So he could be shorter, but that's what they're saying it is.
What are you at now? I'm at 2 hours 13 and 7 seconds.
13:24 is what I'm at.
Are you a little bit further ahead?
By a few seconds. They're looking at gold.
Yeah, they're looking at the gold. And you've got the French national anthem playing there. The Marseillaise. Woof woof. And the German's very happy to get his hand on the gold there.
Keep the goal.
Vive the goal. Yeah, and this is what they do, don't they? They convince the French that the American general is de Gaulle.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, help me. That guy's mouth and teeth. He's definitely lizard, man. That Gene Collins, he's definitely lizard.
Yeah.
He's like the real-life Joker.
He's literally... It's like, yes, he is. That he would have been perfect for the role.
Wow. So this is all the town. So the town was occupied. I mean, it was populated. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be the French town of Clermont, but these are all Croatians. These people.
Yeah, they look Croatian. That's funny.
So don't ask any of them to talk. Just act as if you're just dance and sing and everything. They've got Union Jacks. They've got little Union Jacks. Well, they must have come equipped with any possibility, you know. I'm going to get me a ranch in Texas. There's a lot of shit and down in there.
He's going to have 10, 20, or 30 women on that ranch in Texas.
Lizard man's going to buy humans to breed with.
It's a Mormon ranch. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to buy me 50 years of prep food for this. And a bunker. So they're all walking off with the equivalent in today's money of $10 million each.
Wow.
Not a bad haul.
Not bad.
Oh, look at these guys in a tanker jacket.
Yeah.
Carl, you could almost buy a
traded jackets.
Small you could buy a small shed in California for that, couldn't you?
A small shed. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you.
God bless you, Pietro.
Good.
How do I go to Argentina?
Yes, I must meet up with Adolf in Argentina.
They cut themselves a bag.
They switched uniforms. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's got the guy's leather coat, the iron cross, and everything. Can you believe we've just watched a 2-hour, 20-minute movie? That
It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it runs fast. You
it
know,
runs fast, yeah.
doesn't feel slow.
I think he just had so much fun in this movie because they just kind of let him go with it, you know, just do whatever he wanted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a bit of method acting in here, isn't there? I mean, Donald Sutherland's so gregarious.
Are you saying he was paid in pot and LSD?
Gutowski.
And there's the locals in their 1960s clothing. There's absolutely no authenticity there. Okay, Gutowski. So he's doing the math now.
Yeah. Always doing the numbers.
Yep.
Correct. 10,005,000.
Yeah, this is much better than Three Kings.
Yeah. You
Three
win.
Kings was a good trailer, not a good movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The
so
trailer
that,
told you this, but it didn't deliver this.
Yeah.
no. There's some very strange looking people in that crowd there, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
This is Hugo de Vernier, French mayor. So that is actually the only French person in the whole scene. De Gaulle! De Gaulle!
Like, I'll take it.
De Gaulle, the French general that during the war.
Yeah.
And after the war, called us worse than shit. So that was the thanks we got from de Gaulle.
Yeah.
Because the French don't like us, in case you didn't know.
Wait,
But
like you guys?
yeah,
Oh,
De Gaulle, he ain't even in this war.
yeah. So this is General Colt, but they think he's de Gaulle, which gives them enough time. He ain't even in this war. Damn straight. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, that's why I was
Ain't
laughing.
that the goddamn truth?
I heard you guys built a monument in France. It says something like, in 1066, you guys invaded us to take us over. And in 1943, we invaded you guys to liberate you. It's quite a thing to build, but it's very true.
Very true. Well, actually, Henry V and Edward the Black Prince, we owned half of France.
That's true. He did invade a couple times between them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the French towns in Burgundy and in the West were built by English soldiers. That's probably a very ostentatious claim. I'll retract that now. We owned France during the reign of the Plantagenets.
Yeah.
But it's because the Plantagenets were Normans anyway, so.
Yeah.
Now, this is their captain from before, right?
Yeah, it is. And he has the.
Gilroy.
So,
Oh, gosh.
yeah, so he's just got there. Look at the wall. This is the final 1970 rebellious up your bum. Up yours, baby. Yeah.
The
I mean,
Partridge music starts.
yeah.
Partridge Family.
There you go. And that's it. Done.
Clint Eastwood.
And into the sunset, just like a spaghetti western.
Yep.
So there you go. A quick word about the movie itself. Film got mostly positive reviews, and it was widely regarded as a successful movie by all the critics. It's even the estimable Donald Sutherland can't redeem the picture, one critic said. But despite his awful efforts, his role as a long-haired hippie tank commander is ludicrous. But in the end, it's an entertaining movie. So a lot of the liberals didn't like it, but ironically, but the general public loved the movie. He went on with all energy apparently expended on sustaining 2 hours of devastating explosions. Where's it here? Yeah, so he says the script, which is jolly and what's that? Vituperative. God, these critics are up their ass. Basically, they were annoyed that it was so popular because it's not really Solzhenitsyn, is it? So it was a successful movie at the box office and more than recouped its investment, and it remains one of the top 20 war movies ever, according to various sources. And overall, a movie that Clint Eastwood didn't like, but fans love. And even today, it's one of the fan favorites, one of the best World War II movies ever. So, I mean, any thoughts, gentlemen, overall after watching the movie? I know I'll start with Flash, actually, because you haven't seen the movie before. What do you think, Flash?
I loved it. I will watch it again. I laughed. I cried. It was better than Cats.
But anything's better than Cats, and Cats is better than The Room. But anything's better than The Room. So, what did you think, Matt?
Yeah, it was really fun. Like I think I guess I must have picked up enough as a kid to know that it was like a lighthearted satirical take. But I was really impressed with it's well written, well acted. I think the surprises were fun. I didn't see them coming. So yeah, very entertaining.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Karl, what do you think of the movie overall?
Like I said at the start, it's one of my favorite movies in general, just because it does kind of have that lighthearted feel to it. But I mean, one thing I noticed I had not really noticed before is the front third of the movie does lag. It is once they get big people on board, things kind of pick up speed, but it does lag a bit. I noticed that it could use some pacing there.
Yeah, and, the first 15 minutes really drag.
It's 25 or so. It really does lag.
Well, it's like a pilot episode. They have to introduce all the characters.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is true. There is a reason for it, but whatever. But it's such a fun movie, though. And I mean, like Elrod was saying, it does have its moments where you laugh and you do cry. I mean, it is bittersweet, but it's good. I mean, at the end of the day, the guys get out and they get their, go on to the next thing, and it leaves you feeling with like hopeful for those guys.
Yeah.
They got through it, and now they're on the other side and they've succeeded.
Yeah, it's a little guy getting something for a change, because these we've all said these people were downtrodden. They were the lowest of the low. Then they were thrown into World War II, and they experienced that. And here's a story about some of them actually getting something out of it, and based on a true story. I really don't know what happened in real life, but whoever got this gold in real life, did they have to repay it? Did they get away with it? I don't know. But as a film, it is uplifting, because it's a story about people who actually managed to, get something out of all of this. I mean, we think about the fact that ultimately all of these soldiers were there because, it was a just war to defeat a tyrant, and did America need to get involved in Europe? Well, they chose to get involved in Europe, and that's something that we, as a Brit, I'll always be thankful for, because the Americans didn't have to get involved, but because they did, we managed to beat a tyrant.
All right, give us Canada then. Show some appreciation.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think Hitler would have taken over Europe. If it had been different, it would have been Stalin. He would have taken Europe. And
there's a whole list of things that the First World War only just set up. That didn't even solve a thing, and so it was right for somebody somewhere in 10, 20 years to do something anyways. Definitely,
I agree. Well, overall, sorry, go ahead.
That's a rant for another time, bro.
Absolutely, that's a whole new thing. So overall, I mean, the film was successful and remains one of the most popular World War II movies ever. Even though it's really not that much about the World War II, it's more about the feeling at the time in 1970 in America, and it's more about how people felt about war. And it's a transitional movie, like we said, that leads on to other things later in the 1970s. But it does celebrate the fact that the little guy is still most important in all of this, and that's the essence of America, really, isn't it? The little guy is just as important as everybody else, and hopefully that remains the case in America. Let's see what happens over the next few days, but it's going to be huge. I know it will be. And on that note, thank you to everybody who came tonight to watch the movie. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you to Confetti, Sadie Bella, and also to my guests, to Matt Crotts, and also to Elrodimus Flash, and also to Karl Hungus. And with that, we thank you and we say good night. Good night.
Good night.
See you guys.